Sonya Madison, and welcome to Law Unfiltered, where I talk about various current events and some of the legal implications. So President Trump has been pretty busy. He has issued a lot of executive orders, but one in particular thing that he's done this past week is make a nominee for the Supreme Court. Now, the Supreme Court, as you guys know, is the highest judicial branch in the land, and it also makes a lot of decisions that become law. And so when you're talking about who should be on that bench, we have 4-4, which is right now 4 liberal and 4 conservatives. And he, of course, nominated someone that will fill that conservative side. So a lot of decisions will then go more so on the letter of the law than on how things may be in application of the law. So, for example, right now, immigration has been a huge hot topic. He, being President Trump, has issued an executive order that on this face doesn't have any type of discrimination against a group of people. So on the face of it, it essentially says people who have visas or people who are trying to get visas or basically an application of visas, there will be a hold for at least 60 days to review that and determine whether more stringent measures should be made. So in that process, you have a lot of people who are either leaving or trying to come back who have visas, valid visas, that are then placed on hold. Well, it's only an application to whether you go to certain countries. And I think some of those countries on the list, of course, Syria, as well as Iraq and the like. Now, the issue is, when he verbally talks about this, he makes it clear that this is a fight against Muslims. And he also makes it clear that he's trying to combat Islamic terrorists. So what he's essentially doing in application is ostracizing or excluding certain people from leaving based on their religious beliefs. So now if you take who his current nominee is, and that is Judge Gorsuch, if you put whether or not he would decide in favor of Trump or in favor of the current judge who has now placed a stay on some of these issues, he really should be more aligned with siding with the judge in that case. Because again, yes, the letter of the law says that the order may or may not be okay just by that virtue, but at the same time, looking at the application of the law, it's clear that it's having a discriminatory impact on a certain group of people, which is unconstitutional. However, on that same vein, if he's going to be a judge that says, well, I'm not going to look at the application, I'm just going to look at the letter and the wording of the executive order is fine, then of course we're going to have an issue. And that's where a lot of times you don't see a lot of judges progress as they should. I mean, if you look back over history, say for example, Plessy versus Ferguson, here you have a clear decision that says separate can be equal. Now, on a sheet of paper, perhaps that is available or perhaps that is possible, but if you look at the application, it was clearly not something that could have continued to sustain, and that's why it was eventually overturned. And so another key issue that is probably going to be something that goes to the Supreme Court is this exchange or these executive branches that becoming more legislative, judicial branches becoming more legislative. It seems like all these branches of law are now writing law instead of doing either their interpretation or the execution of the law. And if you look at, again, Judge Gorsuch's decisions, he makes it clear that there is a boundary. In some instances, some of these agencies or some of these executive branches or even some of these judiciaries have overstepped their boundaries. And in that vein, if you're looking at whether or not President Trump's executive orders, some of them may be overstepping their boundaries. Executive orders are not meant for a president to write law. Now, it is meant for him to maybe be aggressive in current law or to order people to look at or examine existing issues to come up with resolutions, but it's not meant to write law. And so if that is what he's in fact doing in some of these executive orders, I would then oblige or put on the onus of the new justice to make sure he does, again, apply the letter of the Constitution and holding that some of these orders are in fact unconstitutional. But tell me what you guys think. Let me know if you feel like this is going to be a good decision in terms of the way that the Supreme Court is going to go, or let me know if you have a little bit more fear about whether or not some of these future decisions are going to have more negative impact on the state of affairs as we currently see them. So until then, I will catch you next time on Law Unfiltered.